Three. Okay, we're live. So yeah, Andrew Kiguel is here, for the former CEO of Hut8 and co-founder, and now he's the co-founder and CEO of tokens.com. I really appreciate to have you here, Andrew, and I'm very happy to do this interview with you because tomorrow I think tokens.com is traded from tomorrow in Canada on the Neo exchange. So I think that's a very exciting company, and yeah, let's jump right into it.
Sure.
Um, Andrew, can you tell us a little bit about your journey into crypto, about Hut8, and about tokens.com?
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for having me on. So I was an investment banker for a long time, and I started getting interested in Bitcoin primarily back in 2016. And the one thing that I realized that was missing is I was dealing every day with these people that wanted to invest in Bitcoin, but they didn't want to go through the process of opening up a cold wallet. They weren't sure if it was real. They didn't want to have to wire money offshore. And I had already started doing that. And I remember when I opened my first Bitcoin account, I had to wire money to Gibraltar. And the money disappears for a little while and you get nervous. And then you got to learn how to store it, cold storage and what the different wallets mean. And so we realized that there was a bit of a gap for people that didn't want to go through that process, but wanted exposure. So back in 2017, if you recall, ETFs, not allowed. Funds, still in their infancy. I think Grayscale had started. But we had the idea, what if we created a Bitcoin miner that held its Bitcoin? And as a result, if we took it public, the investors in that vehicle would get exposure to Bitcoin. And that was really the genesis of Hut8 and how it came about. So really, it wasn't because we were interested in the mining technology. We just wanted to have a public vehicle for people to get exposure to Bitcoin in an easier way.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. So I think a lot of people in this audience are invested in Hut8, and me too. And yeah, you're now starting a new company with tokens.com, which is focused more on this proof of stake, this new technology for this consensus mechanism. And yeah, we're really exciting about what is the mission of tokens.com, and what's the business model here, and how do you want to create shareholder value here?
Yeah, and so I think the first thing I want to communicate is that the proof of work, which is what crypto miners like Hut8 do, was developed with Bitcoin. And that requires the buying of equipment and consuming the electricity to mine Bitcoin. But more recently, there is another way that's been developed to do the same thing, which is validate transactions on blockchains. And that's called proof of stake or staking. And so the end result of what a proof of stake or a staking company does is the same thing that a crypto miner does. Same end result in terms of validating transactions. The process is just different. Now, I'll caveat that with saying that I think Bitcoin will never move off of proof of work. I think proof of work and Bitcoin are joint. That's how it works, and that's never going to change. And there's a massive market for the crypto miners that do that. And obviously, I think Hut8 is one of the best ones out there. But for other blockchains like Ethereum and Polkadot and Binance Coin, they're all being built now on proof of stake networks. And Ethereum's actually making a transition away from crypto mining into proof of stake. And I can explain a little bit to you why that is necessary for them. But for us in doing proof of stake, what's interesting is we don't buy any equipment, we don't consume any electricity. We buy the token. And the way we validate is almost by a voting mechanism. So let's just say I am sending you an ETH coin, Lucas. The other people in the mechanism that own Ethereum would validate that the rules have been followed. I haven't sent the same ETH to you to other people, validate that it's true, and that's done through ownership. So let me explain to you why that's a really exciting business model, and Ethereum's a good one to use. We started staking Ethereum 2.0 at the beginning of this year. We bought it at $1,000 for the use of staking, and we started getting paid 12% annualized in ETH. So we're staking it, we're getting the same rewards that a crypto miner would get. Here's the difference. Ethereum today is what, $2,600 as of a few minutes ago. Our assets have appreciated by 170% since we bought it. Plus, we've been receiving Ethereum for the last few months, which also continues to appreciate. And so our overall return on doing the same validating work that a crypto miner does is a lot higher. And we haven't consumed any electricity or bought any equipment. To me, that's a really exciting model.
Yeah, that sounds very interesting. I'm an energy economist and I'm big in these Bitcoin miners, but I'm thinking more and more about diversifying into these staking companies. They're also doing DeFi. And I think in your investor presentation, you were talking about NFTs and so on. So beside this staking model, are there any other types of potential revenue streams there you're looking for?
Yeah, so let me be clear. There's one revenue stream and one is income. So first, when we receive the crypto rewards for mining things like Ethereum and Polkadot, that counts as our revenue. Same accounting treatment as a crypto miner. And also the same as a crypto miner, once our inventory collected through the rewards and our inventory for staking increases in value, that goes to our income line. And so for us, because our inventory is so large, our income could potentially be multiples higher than our revenue. So that is what a key way. Now you mentioned DeFi, decentralized finance, and NFTs, non-fungible tokens. People don't realize those are primarily built on proof of stake tokens, okay? The layer 1 protocols. And the reason why is this newer technology can process more transactions per second. So proof of work mining, crypto mining can process 15 transactions per second. It's great for Bitcoin, not great for processing a large volume of transactions. Proof of stake can do 100,000 transactions a second. So from 15 to 100,000. And this is why Ethereum is transitioning to proof of stake, because if they want to be part of what's happening in DeFi and in the NFT space, you need to have that higher throughput and higher volume in order to process it. And so when you see things in the DeFi world or in the NFT world being created, they're being built on things like Polkadot and Ethereum that are using proof of stake in order to put that throughput through. And when people complain about the high Ethereum gas fees, which is the transaction fees, that's because they haven't migrated completely to proof of stake. It's a bottleneck when you do through traditional crypto mining, because it can only process 15 transactions per second. Once they transition to proof of stake, 100,000 per second, the gas fees will come down and you'll be able to develop more and more dynamic decentralized finance applications with borrowing, lending, trading, and all kinds of things that are happening. And so we're really proud to say, I love Bitcoin, but when I think about the exciting new things happening in cryptocurrency, it's all happening in proof of stake. And I look at our asset base year to date, our assets used in staking this year have increased by close to 200%, while we've been getting paid a yield of 13% to perform the staking service. So just think about that as a model. There's no depreciation, no CapEx. We buy the token, we stake it, we perform the validating service, and as that token goes up, so does our inventory plus the rewards that we're earning.
Yeah, that sounds very profitable. Yeah, I think this revaluation on these balance sheets, I think this will surprise a lot of people when you have these higher income than these revenues. I think we will see it with the miners too in the next financials,
Sure.
and yeah, with the staking companies, maybe even more. So wow, that's very interesting, and I think that's when the market really starts to wake up to these this insane potential. I mean, we never know where Bitcoin is going, but I think we all can agree that it will go higher. And yeah, especially these proof of stake tokens, like yeah, you were talking about Ethereum and Polkadot. So do you have other coins on your sheet there right now, or
We have
what are you focused right now?
We're focused a lot on Polkadot, Ethereum, and we're also picking up Binance Coin. Binance Coin is going to be very big in the Asian market for building NFTs. And then the other one that we hold is called a Rose token, which is from the Oasis Foundation. And we like that one because it's backed by some of the biggest venture capital firms in the world, like Andreessen Horowitz, Pantera, and Polychain. And we think once that gets listed on major exchanges like Coinbase, that it's going to have huge appreciation value. And they pay us 18% to stake it. That's a pretty good return.
Wow, 18%. So do you right now stake all your coins you have, or only a few to test a little bit, or are they all staked right now?
Everything is staked. So we are going to be trading tomorrow under the ticker symbol COIN in Canada. That's a coincidence because Coinbase is using COIN in the US. But to my knowledge, we are one of the first public staking companies in the world. We're the only ones that I know doing what we do. And one of our investors, our largest investor, is the largest technology mutual fund in Canada. And the reason they invested in us is they said, we really like Polkadot. We think Polkadot is the cryptocurrency of the future. But as a mutual fund, they're not allowed to go and buy and hold digital currencies, crypto. But they can buy tokens.com, and we have that exposure that they want to Polkadot. So right now, we're not a trading strategy. This is not a token of the month club for us. It's a buy, stake, and hold strategy, only with the top tier proof of stake platforms.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, you have a lot of big investors. I saw, for example, Hive Blockchain is an early investors in tokens.com. What other big investors are right now invested in tokens.com? Can you talk about this a little bit? You were talking about this mutual fund, the biggest in Canada on tech side.
Yep, that is a CI signature. The other big investors, if you've ever heard of Olaf Carsten Wee, who is the CEO of Polychain. Polychain is one of the largest venture capital firms in Silicon Valley, and Olaf was one of the original investors in Coinbase and employees at Coinbase. So he's personally invested, not through Polychain. Matt Rozak, if you know Matt Rozak,
Yes.
he is the CEO founder of Block. He is a personal investor as well. Hive, you mentioned, one of the largest crypto exchanges in Canada called BitBuy. They are an investor. We have several other notable high net worth people who were invested as well. And they've been there, for a while because I think they've seen the promise of staking as sort of where a lot of the exciting things in crypto are going.
Yeah, great. Yeah, a lot of big investors. That sounds very nice. So I saw in your investor presentation that it's like 75 million shares outstanding, something like this. Um, yeah, I mean, tomorrow it starts trading. Is there a starting price or something like this, or is this all the market? So because my patron's asking, what's the market cap and so on, I'm not sure
Yeah.
about this. Can you talk a little bit about this one?
Yeah. So the last financing that we did a $25 million financing, and this is in Canada, and that was done at 75 cents. And so the initial valuation is approximately 56 million. And it will be the reference price when we list tomorrow is 75 cents. I'm hearing from a lot of people that they think that's a great value based on where this company can go. My intention is to continue to build it, stake more assets. We've been seeing really great returns. And so we wanted to price this in a way for it to be very attractive for people to get in.
Yeah, I think there are not a lot of companies out there with this staking model. I think there will be more in the future, but I think you're the first movers here, and yeah, that could help a lot because these when we continue this bull run, I think these tokens will rise, and yeah, when you go in there in 6 months, I mean, Polkadot could be at $200 or so. So yeah, you're missing out on a lot of gains, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think, one of the ways I can tell you an interesting story, like I said, when we started Hut 8 back in 2017, it was really to give people exposure to Bitcoin before the ETFs and the funds were there. And today, if you want to get exposure to Bitcoin, there's lots of options and a lot of great options like Hut 8. If you wanted to get exposure to things like Polkadot and DeFi and NFTs, there's really no options on the public market. And that's the gap where we're going to be. And you know what? You're absolutely right. There's going to be imitators. I suspect you'll see some of the crypto miners start to venture out into this area. But I think we have a good first mover advantage. We have a lot of connections into Silicon Valley. We're getting some really good insights into some new cryptos that are going to start trading next month. And so, I'm really excited about this, and I'm excited to see where it can go.
Yeah, great. Yeah, me too. So yeah, you were talking about Ethereum, and a lot of stuff is built on Ethereum. What do you think about other Web 3.0 platforms, for example, like Cardano or EOS or something like this? Is this also interesting for tokens.com?
So I'll be honest, we've talked to them, we've talked to the foundations there, we've talked to Charles at Cardano and different places, and we really like their protocols. The staking yields that they have are lower than I think where we would want to target. We're targeting yields that are a little bit higher in some of the newer blockchains. And so, we've looked at Cosmos, Tez, Cardano, a whole bunch of those. And I think for now, we're going to sort of sit on the sidelines. I think those have been out for a little while. And my personal view is I think some of the appreciation in those has happened. And while there's interesting things being developed on those platforms, I'm a lot more excited by what's happening, for example, with the Binance coin, BNB. I've been keeping an eye on things like Flow, which is also big in the NFT market, and very excited about DOT. So those would be where we're focused. Cardano, Cosmos, Tez, all great tokens, great people behind those. But from our research, we're a little bit more excited also about some of the new things that are coming out. So there's something coming out in May called Casper. There's another one coming out called Definity. And I feel like these are at earlier stages. And so when something's at an earlier stage, it's got the potential for greater appreciation, and the initial yield that you get for staking it is much higher.
Yes, okay. So you're maybe joining these seed funding rounds to get very early into these companies, or wait for the token and then buy this token.
We're going to wait for the tokens.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain criteria. We're not going to invest in things that are too small. It has to have a certain market cap. It has to have certain venture capital firms behind it. So we like to watch what Polychain is doing, and Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z. Those are really smart guys with people, brilliant people working there, doing a lot of homework and putting their money in. So we get some comfort. We look at what they're supporting, and then that's where we normally start doing our research.
Okay, yeah, sounds great. So can you tell us a little bit more about your company? I mean, when I'm thinking about a staking company, I mean, I'm thinking about one laptop and a lot of coins on it. And yeah, that's it. I mean, when you're a miner, you have these thousands of computers. But as a staking company, it seems like a lot more leaner. Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, no, this company is very lean. I can tell you, in running Hut 8, when you have a lot of infrastructure, I oversaw the build of the Medicine Hat facility, which is the 67 megawatts on 12 acres, and I can tell you that was a lot of burden to handle, to oversee the build out of something like that. This is a lot easier, and we've created it even easier. So for the staking services, we have outsourced the actual staking part of it to Polychain, Bison Trails, and Stake.us. And the reason why is that, I did a lot of research, and I said, who are the people in the world that do this the best? Because you always have I can build the technology, or I can leverage what somebody else has already done. These guys were already there and had built what was considered, the smartest people with the best technology, or I have to go try and find them, which can be more costly and take more time. So we cut deals with all three of those companies. We can choose who gives us the best deal, and we pay them a small part of the yield to do that for us. Here's what's great about that. During crypto winter, and I'm sure you remember, you're a longtime shareholder at Hut 8, I spent a lot of 2018 having to find ways to cut costs, and sometimes, unfortunately, having to fire people as the price of Bitcoin came down and it was less
Hash
profitable.
rate up. The hash rate went
Yeah,
up and the price down. Yes,
it
that was hard.
was listen, for me, that was really hard. But here's the great thing about tokens.com. if the yield, which is our revenue, is not produced, our operating cost is zero. We don't have any operating employees. We pay them the fee as a revenue share for doing all that work for us. And so if we were to go into some kind of a scenario where revenues were to drop, I don't have to fire anyone. All of that responsibility is left on one of our 3 service providers. On the custody side, we've chosen to use Coinbase Custody. We just think they have a great product. They have insurance. They've been around for 8 years and they've never been hacked. Great people to deal with. And so, again, similar to when HUD 8 first started, we outsourced a lot of the mining operation to Bitfury, and we just paid them a fee. The problem was that fee was fixed, and so profit or no profit, we still had to pay that fee. In this situation, that we decided to get smart, I decided to get a little more tactical about it and say, great, unless you produce revenue for us, we're not going to pay you. It's a revenue share. And that revenue share is equivalent to about 10% of the yield part only. And so we're earning about a 13% staking yield on our staked assets right now. 10% of that, which is pretty small, goes to the service provider, and the rest comes to us. But we don't have to worry about having any employees doing the operations. I think that's a pretty good deal. As we get bigger, I'd like our staking portfolio to be, $400 to $500 million within 12 months. Once we get a lot bigger, then it might make sense to bring the whole thing in-house and do it ourselves.
Yes, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I think it's a very profitable and model, and it sounds very low risk because you have no big costs. You buy the tokens, and you have to store them safe and have to think about the custodians and so on, and about the staking reward. But it's very profitable. But we all know that crypto is very volatile. So what do you think about the future of crypto in general, Bitcoin and this bull run? Where do you see these prices can go, and what happens then in the bear market? What is your opinion about this?
Yeah, so let me start with Bitcoin, because I think you almost have to look at the market, the crypto market, and there's Bitcoin and then everything else. I'm still really bullish on Bitcoin. It is my largest holding. When I look at the economics of Bitcoin, which is a scarce amount that's available with growing demand, can only lead to price appreciation over time. As always, you got to have a strong stomach to be a Bitcoin holder or anything associated with Bitcoin, because there's pullbacks and sometimes they can hurt. But I wouldn't give a price prediction, but I would say by the end of this year, Bitcoin will be higher than it is today. I think in 4 years, it will be a lot higher than it is today. And, I'm big on the HODL strategy. I came up with the HODL strategy at HUD 8 to mine it and hold it before anyone else. I was actually the first CEO in the world to get paid in Bitcoin. That's how much I believe in Bitcoin. So when I was at HUD 8. So
Wow, cool.
love Bitcoin. On the other side, which is the other things happening in the crypto world, I like the cryptocurrencies that have utility for building things in the DeFi world or the NFT world or anything related to things that can be used by consumers. And so I get really excited when I think about the transition of Ethereum to proof of stake. I get excited by DOT, the BNB, things like Flow, which are all sort of the layer 1 blockchains that are almost like the building tools for things that are happening that's exciting. And what I like for that about me is, and at tokenscom, it doesn't matter which NFT trades for the highest price. If you're supporting Ethereum or BNB and they're being built on those platforms, as long as the sector as a whole continues to boom, then you will see Ethereum continue to boom. And that's the same thing that you'll see in some of those, again, some of those important tokens. So I'd like some of the new things that are going on. I liked seeing what's happening in Silicon Valley in the US, where what is getting people excited to be able to use in these large markets. I'm less excited about, some of the older cryptos out there like Bitcoin SV and Bitcoin Cash and these things. I think the consensus of the market has spoken and said that, you lost the popularity contest in a sense, and their relative weighting in the crypto market has just diminished. somebody asked me yesterday what I thought of Bitcoin SV, and I was almost like, I haven't heard Bitcoin SV mentioned since last year. Who's still talking about it? And so I think that's kind of my general view on the crypto market today.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm on the same page here. I mean, there's Bitcoin and there's this new stuff. Yeah, I think a little bit about like gold, and then you have these other metals. They all have a use case like copper or palladium or whatever. So we have the gold. This is Bitcoin, and we have these Web 3.0 platforms. They all have yeah these new platforms. They all have different use cases, and I think that makes a lot of sense to me. And yeah, we don't need copies of Bitcoin because there's only one Bitcoin. I really think the same about this topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were
I'll tell you,
talking.
whenever
Mhm.
there's a pullback, I'll tell you, whenever there's a pullback, I don't know if you can see behind me there, but two things I always keep visible in my mind. One is the Saifedean's book, the Bitcoin Standard.
Yeah,
The other one is the Bitcoin White Paper by Satoshi Nakamoto. And I always keep them handy. So when you get the fear and you see these pullbacks, come back, take a deep breath, look around, be like, yes, the thesis stays the same. Strong stomach, long-term view.
yeah, that's what I always say. The fundamentals have not changed also in these mining stocks right now because they are dropping hard. But yeah, after this, most of the time they're rising fast. So yeah, this volatility is crazy. For me, that's no problem anymore because I'm in there 4 years now with Hive blockchain and with HUD 8 like 3 years. So you get used to this, especially when you're through a bear market and survive this. Yeah, but for new investors, it's very difficult. And yeah, I try to calm them down. But I think it's good to have the Bitcoin standard. I think that was one of the most important books for me in my life to make these decisions. And yeah, benefiting a lot from this right now.
I got to tell you, and you do a great job. Sometimes I read different things and I follow the markets and I see what different things. And often when people are like, what do you think of this miner? What do you think of this miner? They always refer back to you and say, go to him. He knows what he's talking about. He's the go-to person when it comes to valuation and who's who in the crypto mining space. So, congratulations to you. You've done a great job in building what I would say, a great reputation for being objective in evaluating the crypto mining stocks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, sometimes it's about fundamentals, but sometimes the market chooses different ways, and fundamentals doesn't matter. But I think in the long term, it will always go back to the fundamentals, and it's only a matter of time. Yeah. So Andrew, you will be the stock will be traded tomorrow on the Neo exchange, and I think on your investor presentation you were talking about going OTC in a few weeks. And are there any plans beyond to list on an or more on another exchange, for example, in the US or so? Um,
So yeah, all of the above. I think the ultimate goal is to get listed on the Nasdaq. Right now we're too small to be listed on the Nasdaq, but should things go well, within 12 months, that would certainly be a target for us to get listed there. We're listed in Canada on the Neo exchange, which is actually considered a senior exchange. Um, while I was at Hut 8, I knew the importance of getting on a senior exchange, which is why we were one of the first blockchain companies. I think we were the first blockchain company to be listed on a senior exchange, which was the Toronto Stock Exchange. And here with tokens, we went straight to the NEO, which is also a senior exchange. And I think that'll help us do a migration if we're large enough and the markets cooperate over to something like the NASDAQ.
That sounds great. Yeah, right now in these stocks where I'm invested, everyone is talking about yeah, when Nasdaq. So this is a major driver for the price. But yeah, that's going to be very exciting. I think tomorrow, I hope it's going to be very successful. Um, yeah, you were talking a lot about proof of stake and about Ethereum. So as an investor, for example, in Hive blockchain, I hope that proof of stake will yeah, it will take longer to get there. I think you hope that it will happen sooner. Do you have an idea when this could happen, or what is your estimations here?
Yeah, I think the crypto mining of Ethereum is got still several years left. I don't think anybody needs to rush out and sell their Hive position or any other Ethereum miner. But I do think from a ability for Ethereum to lower its gas fees and to maintain its dominance as the building block for DeFi, it wants to move to proof of stake as quickly as possible because you can process more transactions per second. So, look, there doesn't have to be a winner and a loser in this, but as long as people are aware that in 3 or 4 years, the need for a Ethereum miner is probably not going to be a thing anymore.
Yes, I think so. So I think it's very important to hodl these Ethereum and to stake them when you're a miner right now. Start to stake them, for example, because I think when we get this transition from proof of work to proof of stake, I think the price will get into to the next level. Because when we get these transactions, these 100,000 transactions, and yeah, then there are more steps for Ethereum to go with sharding and all these nice scaling things. Maybe we go to 1 million or even more a second. So I think yeah, there's no limit for Ethereum right now if they can get
And,
there.
and if you think about how staking works, you have to buy the Ethereum and hodl it. And so that should ultimately make it more scarce in the marketplace for people that want to use it, which will help drive appreciation in its price, right? So
Yes. Yeah, very interesting. Um, so I think there's no question left right now. So yeah, my Patreon asked a lot of questions. So yeah, I think do you have any questions, Andrew, or do you have a statement, a last one?
no, what are your views? What's your view on the price of Bitcoin this year and sort of what we're seeing right now? I think people right now are upset that Facebook didn't announce that they held Bitcoin on the balance sheet, and that's why we're seeing a pullback today, which I think it's very silly, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it as well.
Yes, I mean, there are a lot of rumors out there. I mean, 2 months ago it was Oracle. They were talking about Oracle, and then it was Tesla again. They thought that they will buy more. Instead, they sold a little bit. And now it's Facebook, and I hear this stuff, but yeah, most of the time these rumors are wrong. And when you're expected, it does not happen. But when you're not expecting it, then it happens. So I think, yeah, we have to wait a little bit. I think this Michael Saylor event in February was really the start, the kickoff for these companies to get yeah to think about buying Bitcoin. But yeah, I'm right now working in a big German company here, in a car manufacturing company, and I know how slow these processes are there. You have to talk to a lot of people. And yeah, I was suggesting there 2 years ago to mine Bitcoin because I'm an energy economist. We have these power plants there, and I said, okay, we could be a lot more profitable. But yeah, guess what happens? People were laughing at me. So it's very difficult. So it will take some time to get these companies in there. But there are always first movers like Tesla, and I think there will be other first movers. So I think it's starting now, and yeah, it will ramp up. So in my model, for my minor valuation, I'm calculating right now Bitcoin at 200,000 US dollars per Bitcoin at the peak of the bull cycle. Um, yeah, I'm following the stock to flow model from Plan B, so that makes sense to me. But I mean, this cycle could be different. We could go lower. It could be a lengthening cycle, but it could go higher. But maybe at the end of 2022. So it's very difficult. But I think the stock to flow model in the past has really um, yeah shown that it works. And yeah, that's in my opinion, it's the best model to to predict some kind of the price of Bitcoin. So
Well,
yeah, we will see.
I think the other piece that's interesting to consider is all the money that's being printed to combat, the COVID stimulus.
Yes.
So in the U.S., close to $2 trillion of stimulus that's being, money being printed. Was last year 35% of all U.S. dollars went into circulation, and if you look through history, the printing of money leads to inflation, and really that dollar, that fiat currency being worth less. And so one of the things that might drive Bitcoin, I think a big driver of the increase in the price of Bitcoin in the last 12 months hasn't necessarily been the increase in the price of Bitcoin. It's been the decrease in the value of the US dollar, because people are nervous and they're trying to find something that is not gold, but gets them out of their own fiat geographical currency that they have to deal with. And you saw what happened in Venezuela a few years ago. They were printing up a whole bunch of their stuff, and they had 1,000,000% inflation in 1 year. 1,000,000%. Can you imagine? So we're seeing inflation rear its head again in the US and Canada, probably in Europe as well, where you're at. And you know, you don't know. You might see Bitcoin appreciation a lot faster than you think if that inflation starts getting people really nervous.
Yes, that's true. I mean, in the stock to flow model, there is no money printing included, so this is without money printing. It's
Right.
the buying power of today. So all this money printing can lead to a whole different Bitcoin price. I think the same. And yeah, we're seeing inflation right now rising very fast in commodities. I think lumber is up 300% within 1 year. Copper is at close to all-time highs or something like this.
Wow.
Yeah, only gold and silver are not moving, but all these oil is rising. So we're seeing this inflation. Not the end consumer is not realizing it so far, I think, but it will finally they will see it.
Yeah. The other good catalyst, and then maybe we into that, but I think it's a matter of time now before the US approves a Bitcoin ETF. And I think once that happens, you know, we saw it in Canada, big inflows of capital and the price going up. I think once the US approves an ETF, you're going to see massive inflows of capital into those ETFs, which is going to have to buy, you know, physically back Bitcoin in order to create those ETFs. So that's another important catalyst, I think, to look for this year.
Yeah, a lot of bullish things happening, I think. So I mean, the last two and a half months was more or less sideways for Bitcoin. I think it's the next leg up is only a short period of time away, but you never know where Bitcoin is going. But yeah, the fundamentals are looking very bullish, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Andrew, thank you very much. That was really a great interview about tokens.com, which will be traded tomorrow. Very exciting for this start. And yeah,
Thank you.
we're talking about a lot of other stuff, Ethereum, proof of stake, and yeah, Bitcoin. So I really love this. Maybe we can do another interview in a few weeks or a month or so when
With pleasure.
yeah, and talk a little bit about the first weeks as a publicly traded company.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, goodbye.
Thanks.